Ladies and gentlemen, it is once again that time of year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and hop right into it. Let's waste absolutely no time as we learned at the beginning of the show what the new update theme is. Can I get a drum roll, please? It is the Caves and Cliff update. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you voted for it on the Minecraft suggestion page, and it is finally here. We have a cave update coming to Minecraft. Now, we learned about quite a few new features coming, and there will likely be a lot more in the future, but we did learn about a lot of new things. So, let's go ahead and start with the very first things that we learned about the new cave biome, the LUSH caves. Now, coming to mark the entrance of where these caves will be, there is going to be a new tree type called azaleas, and what these will do is essentially their leaves, when you see them, they kind of look like oak leaves a little bit, I guess, and they have like little flowers on them, and when you see them, you'll be able to know, well, if I go underneath that tree, there's going to be a lush cave down there. So that's kind of a great way to kind of mark and show basically exactly where everything is. So I really like this. I thought that was a good idea. And then the next thing we learned about were glow berries. Now, these are a food source within the game, which I think is interesting. They're a food source, and they're also a light source, which is interesting. I think that it's kind of cool that they're adding like a lot of early game things. Like if you're down in a lush cave during early game, and let's say you don't really have a great source of food, if you need to heal in there for some reason, I think that could be really, really cool. I really like that as a mechanic. But it can also be a really cool light source, and it kind of emits kind of a warm light, and I think that's really cool as well. And so anyway, let's move on to the next thing, which is the Spore Blossom. Now, I am super excited about this block, okay? It is a really, really, really cool concept. It is a particle block. So basically what it does is it will actually emit particles. So it's kind of like, as they described it, a block which will emit kind of like the particles we saw in the Nether update, but it can be moved around to different places, which is really, really cool. I think that's a really cool feature, kind of giving vanilla survival players an ability to have particle effects maybe in their bases or different builds. I think that's really cool. I'm really liking this so far. So anyway, let's move on to the next thing, which is kind of more for map makers, or maybe just something you could do in survival to get into a base or something. This is the drip leaf. Now, the drip leaf is kind of an interesting one, because essentially what it does is when you stand on it, it'll actually make you slip off the top of the block if you stand on it for too long. So it's kind of like a platforming block is what they described it as. I thought it was kind of interesting. I can't see me personally using it. It's a good looking block, but I can't really see me using it in a non-decorational standpoint. I can't see that being extremely helpful. But it really just depends on the more kind of use from it we will see eventually. So that is the lush caves, and we did actually later on learn about another mob that is actually coming to the lush caves and will live in the lush caves called the, and I apologize for my pronunciation, I'm sure I'm doing this wrong. We learned about the axolotl, and what the axolotl is a mob that will live in the water of these caves that you can actually tame. That's right, tame, by picking it up in a bucket. So you can literally just swim up to these things and just put them in a bucket, and then they're your pets, I guess. They're kind of like an undersea dog, I guess, and they'll help you fight other mobs like the undersea mobs do. And if you work together, they didn't really go into a ton of detail about this, but they basically said that if you work well enough with the dogs, they will actually give you the regeneration effect, which is a really, really cool kind of gameplay mechanic. And so you can transport them anywhere, you can take them to an aquarium, or you can use them in combat, like we said. So that's really, really cool. So with that said, let's move on to the next cave biome that was announced. So let's go ahead and talk about the next biome that was announced, which is the Dripstone caves. Now, these caves are introducing stalagmites and stalactites, which the stalagmites will do damage when an entity falls on them. So whether that's players or mobs or something, I can see some pretty cool applications depending on how they work and how much damage they do. In mob farming, maybe, that would be kind of cool. And then stalactites will actually fill cauldrons with the water that drops from them, kind of like when you put when you take rain when it rains, it fills up cauldrons. It's basically the same thing, just a kind of a cool mechanic, kind of a little immersion mechanic that I thought was pretty cool. Besides that, there's not a ton to be said about these, but I still think that this is a really cool concept, and I'm excited to see what else will be coming to the Dripstone Caves. Alright folks, so let's go ahead and talk about the third and final biome that was announced for caves, which is the Deep Dark Cave biome. We don't really know a ton about this particular biome. They kind of kept a lot of things secret, which was kind of interesting. So we don't really know a ton, but we do know some stuff. So here's what we know so far. There is a new block that has redstone applications called the Skulk Sensor, which detects vibrations, which is interesting. And vibrations means anything from blocks being placed to footsteps to projectiles landing next to them. They will be able to hear that, and they will send off a redstone pulse when triggered. They cannot hear sounds through wool, which is kind of interesting. And it will also bounce the vibrations that it hears to other Skulk sensors in a reasonable distance. We don't know what the farthest distance it will send is, but we did see that in the footage as well. Now there is a brand new mob coming at us as well, something that was really, really cool, and it was something that I think Minecraft has been needing something like this for a long time. It's called the Warden. It cannot see you, which is interesting, and it uses vibration to navigate. It does an insane amount of damage. I mean, in the demo that they showed, he killed the person in 2 hits, and they were wearing full netherite armor. Now, it wasn't enchanted, but full netherite armor? Come on. So, it does insane, and it has a stupid amount of health, okay? I think it got like 3 or 4 hits with a netherite sword, and several hits with a bow, and it didn't die. And it just kept coming at it, and it's really, really crazy. It seems like an extremely dangerous mob. Now, a couple of things that I noticed were candles, which I thought were interesting. I don't know if that's kind of going to be like the sea pickle, kind of like a reskinned sea pickle that doesn't need water to give off light. That looks kind of interesting. And then we also saw a loot room, which looked kind of interesting as well, and that is definitely a new type of stone, so I'm pretty excited about that. So that's about everything we learned about the cave update itself, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the program. So right after that segment, we moved into the Minecraft Earth segment, which gave us a little bit of information on the upcoming changes to the redstone system, adding things such as slime and slime blocks and sticky pistons and pistons, which is really cool indeed. I'm actually pretty excited to see what people will be able to do with that. I think that'll be very, very interesting and very, very cool. But then we learned about a series that Mumbo and Grian will be doing together, in which they do a sort of grand tour around the old UK and England land, and they are going to be doing some Minecraft Earth stuff, in which Mumbo made the most offensive statement I have ever heard any YouTuber ever make ever. Just watch this absolutely shocking clip.
Well, my name's Mumbo, this is my friend Grian, and this is my 1974 VW bus.
There's no air conditioning, there's no heating, there's no radio, there's no anti-locking brakes, no power steering.
There's no seatbelt. I've owned it for about 4 years, and to be frankly honest, it's pants.
Pants? That's a VW bus you got there, buddy. That is a piece of gold. What is wrong with you, Mumbo? Yeah, I'm unsub. VW bus is so good. Nah, but for real though, I'm actually really excited for this. These are 2 of my favorite YouTubers, and I am so excited to see this series. I'm really excited for when it comes out. There were no release dates. I assume it's going up pretty soon, but you know, we don't know yet. So anyway, let's move on to the next part. So, right after that section, our resident Minecraft live correspondent went over the 3 mobs for the Minecraft vote again. He does this like 3 times. So, after a much longer than it should have been section on map making, we finally got some more information on the next things coming to Minecraft, specifically amethyst geodes. Now, these work like mob spawners, okay? So you have a block in it, which the block name wasn't actually, and they didn't actually show the block, but the amethyst geodes will grow on this specific type of block, and you can't actually mine this type of block, which I thought was interesting, and you can't take it anywhere. Even if you have like a silk touch pickaxe or something, you cannot move it in any way, shape, or form, which I thought personally was very, very cool. This block can be broken like a mob spawner, but you can't move it at all. So that is a really cool thing, and I think it'll kind of make people go out and explore to look for these things, because it does have a really cool use with the telescope. Now, essentially what the telescope does is it's a telescope. It literally makes you look farther. It extends your reach. You look through it, and it's just like a spyglass. It's really cool. I can see a lot of cool applications with it. And it's one of those things that even if you necessarily don't need it, you're going to try to get. It's kind of like netherite armor, where it's like, it's not that much of an upgrade, but it's like, you need it because it's cool, right? So anyway, moving on now, we also learned about a new ore coming to Minecraft. That's right, after so long, we are finally getting a new ore coming to Minecraft, and it is copper ore. Now this is, to me, something that kind of has fit Minecraft's theme for a long time, and I've been thinking that Minecraft should have been added just like a really long time ago. I've been thinking this for an exceptional amount of time. Copper should have been in the game a long time ago, but it's finally here, and I'm so excited for it. So, interestingly, this metal block is the first of its kind because there are slabs and stairs going along with it. So we don't have like iron stairs and slabs in the game right now. Could we be getting that based off of what we're seeing now? Maybe, who knows? But anyway, so the interesting thing is copper has an interesting mechanic to it. It will actually patina over time, which means as the copper gets older, it will actually change colors to a nice green texture. I actually really like the way both of these blocks work. I do wonder, though, if there will be, at some point, a way to treat the copper so that way it doesn't actually change. If it doesn't, or maybe a way to speed up the patina time if you just want that specific block. They might add something like that, but it's not just a decorational block that you have to mine an ore for. There's also something called the lightning rod, and what the lightning rod will do is actually draw lightning to it when there is a thunderstorm, which is kind of an interesting mechanic. It may very well revolutionize charged creeper farms. I can see that being a really cool thing for that. As far as what else we can craft with copper, we just don't know yet. I can't think that that is the only things that you'll be able to do, but you know, it also does generate differently as well. It doesn't generate in clusters like normal ores do. It also will generate in veins, which is pretty cool. So anyway, moving on, we also have another new feature, which are basically early game shulker boxes. Amazing. They're called bundles. Now, bundles don't actually increase the size of your inventory. What they're basically an inventory management tool. So I think we've all been there when you're out foraging one day, or you're out just exploring, and your inventory gets filled up, okay? You've raided a village, you have a bunch of hay bales in your inventory, but you also have like 3 seeds, and you have to figure out what to take and what to put where, and you know, you only have limited inventory space. And the thing is that because items don't stack with each other, that entire inventory space can't be utilized, and that is the problem bundles are fixing. You'll now be able to mix and match types of items, so you could have 32 pieces of wood and 32 leaves in a single bundle, but it will only take up 1 inventory slot. So that way you can make other types of items stack together, like diamond blocks and emerald blocks, in the same slot. Now, it will not increase the storage space, but it will allow you to take things like a redstone bundle. So you could maybe have repeaters, comparators, redstone dust, redstone torches, all in the same bundle. And although you still only have that 64 limitation, you are going to be able to group all of these things together, which is going to be great for early game projects. You could even do this inside of shulker boxes. So in theory, you could you could put these inside of shulker boxes and then like literally just carry around like the most optimal amount of items possible. That's really crazy to me, and I am so excited for this. This is one of my favorite features because it's so dang practical. This is one of those things to me that is just so exciting. And although it may seem like a lackluster kind of feature to some of you guys, I am so hyped for this. This is going to be absolutely amazing. Now, another thing that we saw was the archaeology mechanic. Now, I found this very interesting. So you'll be able to find naturally generated, I assume, different archaeology sites that are generated structures, and essentially what they'll allow you to do is kind of uncover artifacts from these structures and things, which is really interesting to me. And apparently, not only will you be able to find plant shards, or excuse me, not pot shards, that will allow you to see maybe some early lore of Minecraft or something, you know, kind of expanding on that lore, but it will also allow you to find valuables. And so essentially what that means is, as we saw in the demo, now whether or not these are placeholder blocks, we don't know, but somebody was digging out an entire diamond block. I'm just gonna say that again, an entire diamond block without mining, but by just brushing your little brush, you can just pull out a diamond block. That is insane. Okay, that is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And, you know, I've always said for a long time that, like, you know, mining isn't challenging enough. You did great, Mojang. You made it harder. You made it so you can literally stand over a piece of gravel with your little brush and find an entire block of diamonds. Great job, Mojang. But as we saw, he pulled an entire emerald block out of there. That's absolutely insane. And it's really, really crazy to think that that's even possible within Minecraft. And it's a really cool mechanic. It is something I was not expecting within the cave update, especially with my earlier video where I predicted a lot of some of these things. They have impressed me in a lot of different ways. I'm extremely hyped for this update. And with that said, that's actually going to do it for this video. That's all I have for you today. I won't be covering snapshots or anything on this channel, but if anything gets added that I find that is super interesting and I do something about, then I will probably be talking about that on this channel. So anyway, folks, that's going to do it for me. Really do hope that you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully you learned something, and hopefully you guys are excited for the cave update. Sub, like, ring the bell if you want to. That's going to do it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next gaming video. Goodbye, guys.